Gipsters, I can't believe it's already Friday. I feel like this week has flown by. We're so much smarter than we were on Monday. Thank you so much for tuning in every day this week. Let's finish the week strong. I'm really going to be looking for your participation today. Normally we don't need anything for our read alouds, but today, if you happen to have a pencil and a paper nearby, go ahead and grab those. You can follow along with me. We're going to be making what's called a Venn diagram. So if you happen to have a piece of paper and a pencil nearby, pause the video and go grab them. Okay, let's get started. Kipsters, we've been reading all week about Gilberto in Gilberto and the Wind. And last week we read all about Irene in Brave Irene. Both characters had experience with the wind. The wind was kind of like a character in both of those books. Today, we're going to compare and contrast Gilberto and Irene's experiences. Compare means to find what's the same, and contrast means to find what's different. And we're going to chart that on a Venn diagram. So if you want to make this along with me, what you're going to do, I drew some really terrible circles here, but you're going to draw two beautiful circles, one here, and make sure they overlap so that there's a space in the middle. I labeled one Irene and one Gilberto. So how this works, Kipsters, is we're going to put what's different in these outside parts. So what's different about Gilberto, what's different about Irene, and then we're going to put what's the same between the two of them right here in the middle, this overlapping part, because that's part of both of their circles. So Kipsters, we already said one thing that's the same, and that is the wind. So I'm going to put wind right there in the middle. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do in order to compare and contrast their experiences is to remember what happens in each of the books. So it's been a little bit since we've read Brave Irene, but just to refresh our memories, I remember that in Brave Irene, Irene goes out in a snowstorm to deliver a dress for her sick mother to the Duchess. The wind makes her trip super difficult and blows the dress out of the box. Irene keeps going through the snow and finds the dress on her way. She delivers it to the Duchess. She stays for the party. And finally, she makes it home to her mother. So, Kipsters, there's a lot in there that's different about Irene's experience than Gilberto's, right? Right off the bat. I know she's helping her mother. And I'm going to say delivers a dress. Those are two very basic things that happen in the story that Irene does that Gilberto does not do. So in Irene's circle, I'm writing she helped her mother. She delivers a dress. If you want to copy that down, go right ahead. Feel free to pause the video if you need to keep up with me. Okay, now I'm going to think about what happens in Gilberto and the Wind. We've been reading that all week. So I remember that the Wind calls Gilberto out to play. They play with a balloon, a kite, bubbles, and some other objects. And then eventually they fall asleep together, right? It's a pretty simple, nice story. So in Gilberto's, right, what's different about Gilberto's story than Irene? What did I just say? Right, he plays outside with the wind. Right? Irene is never playing in her story. She's going on a mission. She has a job to do, and she is determined to do it. Gilberto's just kind of playing with the wind and the soap and the balloons, right? Okay, now we can look at specific parts of the book and compare and contrast the characters. Now that we've got the basics down, we can dive a little deeper and get a little more specific. I'm going to reread parts of Brave Irene because it's been a little while since we've looked at it. I want you to think about how Irene feels on this page. How does she feel on this page? Go home, the wind squalled. Irene, go home. I will do no such thing, she snapped. No such thing, you wicked wind. Go home, the wind yodeled. Go home, it shrieked. Or else. For a short second, Irene wondered if she shouldn't heed the wind's warning. But no, the gown had to get to the Duchess. Kipsters, how did Irene feel on that page? I agree. I think she felt pretty angry at the wind, right? She's feeling pretty angry toward the wind. Does Gilberto ever feel angry at the wind too? Think about Gilberto and the wind. Does Gilberto ever feel angry in that story? Yeah, there were parts where Gilberto was pretty angry, like when the wind refused to fly his kite for him, and he said, Wind, I do not like you today. So both of them felt angry at some point in the story. So I'm writing angry right in the middle. Let's take another look as we reread. Let's reread this part of Brave Irene. Soon night took over. She knew in the dark that the muffled snow was still falling. She could feel it. She was cold and alone in the middle of nowhere. Irene was lost. Kipsters, how is Irene feeling on this page? Yeah, she's feeling scared and alone. Did Gilberto ever feel scared in Gilberto and the Wind? Yeah, he did, right? Remember when the wind was banging and breaking down those trees and Gilberto said, I am afraid. So both characters feel scared. So I'm writing scared in the middle of my Venn diagram. Nice job. But Kipsters, I also remember that there were some times when Gilberto was happy with the wind, like when it was playing with his bubbles and making him laugh. Were there ever times when Irene was happy with the wind? No, not really, right? The wind was making Irene's life pretty difficult, and she never was that happy with it. She was pretty much just angry and scared and alone. So Gilberto, on his side, I'm going to write happy with the wind, because that is something that's true of Gilberto, but not of Irene. That's a difference between the two. Okay, so now taking a look back at our Venn diagram, we see that both characters had some similar experiences with the wind, right? Right here in the middle. They both had experiences at all with the wind, right? But they both felt angry, they both felt scared. But they also had some different experiences, right? Irene was... We also said she was determined and brave. As she was helping her mother, as she was delivering a dress, right? She was on a mission, we said. She was doing her job. Gilberto wasn't really doing a job. He was playing outside with the wind, and at sometimes he was happy with the wind. Irene never was happy with the wind. That's a difference between the two. And then here in the middle, like we said, we have what's the same. Really nice job, Kipsters. Thank you so much for helping me compare the characters in these texts. Now I want you to think a little more about both Gilberto and Irene. Which character are you more like? Which character are you more like, and why? Tell your answer to your teacher and make sure you give good reasons. That's your last job from me for this week. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I can't wait to talk to you, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.